Lake Gaston, a shimmering jewel of the Carolinas, a place of summer memories and tranquil sunsets. But for me, Gaston became a nightmare, a descent into a hidden world of primal fear. They whispered about the forgotten place, a labyrinth of backwaters and cypress swamps where the lake's dark heart beat. Locals, their faces etched with a grim understanding, warned me about the hungry darkness that stirred beneath the surface and the crawling curse that infested its shallow depths. I, driven by a desperate need to unravel my grandfather's disappearance, dismissed their tales as folklore. I was wrong, so terribly wrong. My grandfather, Elias Thorne, a renowned wildlife photographer, vanished into the secluded inlets of Lake Gaston 20 years ago. All that remained was his journal, filled with increasingly frantic entries and the promise of a hidden camera containing his final, unseen images. I was his only grandson, and his disappearance left an unfillable void in my life. I needed answers. I arrived at Gaston in late October, the air thick with the scent of decaying leaves and damp earth. I rented a small cabin near the lake's edge, a place where the locals gave me wary glances and hushed conversations ceased when I walked by. I started my search, pushing my small kayak into the labyrinthine inlets, the silence broken only by the drip of water from my paddle and the incessant buzz of unseen insects. Days turned into nights, the lake's beauty morphing into a suffocating darkness. The water, a mirror during the day, became a black abyss at night, reflecting the faint glow of my headlamp. I followed my grandfather's journal, his descriptions of the area becoming increasingly unsettling. He spoke of a strange stillness, a lack of birdsong, and a sense of being watched. Then I found it, a rusted metal box, half submerged in the muddy bank, near a collapsed, moss-covered dock, its planks rotting and slick with algae. The dock seemed to lead nowhere, a skeletal finger pointing into the lake's depths. Inside the box, the camera, a vintage Leica, its leather worn but its lens intact. And beside it, a small, intricately carved wooden box, bound with tarnished silver wire. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it, the key to understanding. But as I reached for the camera, a wave of nausea washed over me. I felt a prickling sensation, a burning itch that spread across my skin like wildfire. I looked down and my breath hitched. Hundreds, no, thousands of leeches, their black, glistening bodies swarming over my boots, crawling up my legs, their tiny mouths opening and closing in a horrifying anticipation. They were everywhere, drawn from the murky depths of Lake Gaston, their numbers seemingly endless. Panic, raw and visceral, seized me. I tried to brush them off, but they clung with a horrifying tenacity, their tiny teeth sinking into my flesh. The pain was excruciating, like 1,000 tiny needles piercing my skin. I screamed, my voice swallowed by the oppressive silence of the lake's hidden cove. I stumbled back, tripping over the rotting planks of the dock, falling into a shallow pool of stagnant water, the leeches multiplying with every ripple. The water, now stained with my blood, became a writhing mass of black bodies. I felt myself growing weak, the blood draining from my body, my vision blurring. I knew with a chilling certainty that I was going to die, consumed by the lake's dark inhabitants. Then, a faint, whimpering sound cut through the chaos. It was coming from beneath the collapsed dock. A tiny, shivering form, half submerged in the mud and shallow water, its fur matted and dark, its eyes wide with terror. It was a juvenile capybara, no more than a few weeks old, its tiny body trembling with fear. And it was covered in leeches, even more than me. They were clustered around its eyes, its ears, its tiny, vulnerable body, draining its life away. The sight was horrifying, a visceral reminder of the lake's cruelty. This wasn't just a personal struggle anymore. It was a life, a fragile, innocent life, being consumed by the lake's dark hunger. I knew I couldn't leave it to die. I had to do something, anything. But what? I was bleeding, disoriented, and surrounded by a relentless swarm of parasites from the lake, their numbers growing with every passing second. I remembered something my grandfather had written in his journal. Gaston's secret is its resilience, its ability to adapt, to survive even in the face of darkness. I had to adapt. I had to think like the lake itself to find a way to survive. With a surge of adrenaline, I managed to scoop up the capybara, holding it close to my chest, its tiny body trembling against mine. I stumbled towards the shore, my vision blurring, my limbs heavy. The leeches were still clinging to me, their grip tightening, but I couldn't give up. I reached a slightly drier patch of ground, placing the capybara gently on a bed of damp moss. I then turned my attention to the wooden box. I pried it open, the silver wire snapping with a metallic twang. Inside, I found a small, ceramic jar filled with a thick, oily substance, its surface shimmering with an iridescent sheen. It smelled pungent, like a mix of herbs, mud, and something metallic, something ancient. I didn't know what it was, but I was desperate. I applied the substance to the capybara's skin, carefully avoiding its eyes. The leeches recoiled, their bodies writhing, their grip weakening. They started to detach, falling off the capybara's fur, their black bodies glistening in the faint light. It was working. I applied the substance to my own skin, wincing as it stung the open wounds. The leeches on me also began to detach, their grip weakening, their tiny teeth releasing their hold. It was a miracle, a lifeline in the face of death. My grandfather hadn't simply disappeared. He had encountered something ancient, something malevolent, lurking in the depths of Lake Gaston. The leeches, I realized, were more than just a nuisance. They were a symptom, a sign of the hungry darkness growing in power. I understood then why the locals were so afraid. They knew something I didn't, something that my grandfather had discovered too late. I understood why the lake had been so silent. The hungry darkness may remain a mystery, but the lessons I learned in the depths of Lake Gaston will stay with me forever. I hope that by sharing this experience, I've given you something to think about, something to ponder long after this video ends. If you found this story as compelling and unsettling as I did, please give this video a like. It helps others discover these hidden stories, and it helps support the channel. And if you want to stay updated on future explorations into the unknown, into the mysteries that surround us, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll be venturing into other places, other stories, to bring you more tales of the strange, the unsettling, and the unforgettable. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of Lake Gaston. Remember, some mysteries are best left undisturbed, but some demand answers. And sometimes those answers come at a terrible price.